It is a pleasure to welcome the 2021 Goalie of the Year, Markland Kelly Award winner. It is Owen McElroy. Owen, how you doing?
I'm doing great. I appreciate you having me on, Damon. I'm excited to talk shop a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I've got this goal to interview as many Goalie of the Year award winners as I can, and it's a pleasure we can do this. I'm really excited. I usually kick it off with asking goalies. Do you remember kind of your first time in goal?
I actually do. Yeah, it was a summer tournament, sixth grade summer going into seventh grade, and it was kind of just I always played every position growing up. I was in attacking, midi, long pole, whatever you name it. I definitely played it. I've always had a stick in my hand, but it was kind of a tournament, and I thought it'd be fun to just hop in there. So I hopped in there for the second half of one of our youth league games, and I had a lot of fun and I did pretty well. So pretty much from there on, I kind of fell in love with the position. But I was a little later than most keepers are in hopping in the net and deciding to be a goalie. So.
Did you grow up in the New Jersey area?
I did, yes. Ridgewood, New Jersey, born and raised. So I've been here my whole life, and we have a pretty good youth program here, high school program. So it's kind of just lacrosse. Lacrosse is the way of life over here. We have a day every year called Lax Day. So it's a big sport for our town. So all of my good buddies are lacrosse players as well. And we've all kind of had the stick in our hands since a young age. So.
Yeah, that's so critical for being an elite goalie, is just being comfortable with the stick. I think a lot of youth, you got to just fall in love with the sport and fall in love with, having a stick in your hand. Cause then if you decide to convert to goalie full time, you're going to be that much better for it.
100%. I completely agree. Like I was saying, I didn't completely shift over to, full-time goalie until my freshman year of high school. So I think it's so important for, younger kids to go out and play attack, go out and play midi, whatever it is, just you get so much knowledge and IQ from playing, every other position, from, hitting the wall with a short stick. I do that, probably more than I hit the wall with my goalie stick, just because I think it's just so important to, get a feel for the game itself, respect the game, what it's all about, and the IQ will kind of follow from there and help you as a goalie, and, your positioning and just understanding the game and the flow and the speed of the game.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Goalies ask me all the time, like, when's the right time to specialize as a goalie? It sounds like for you, it was freshman of your high school, freshman of high school. What do you say? You're doing some coaching right now. What do you say to a young goalie who asks you that question? Do you think that's the right time?
It's never too late or too early to start, playing goalie full time. I liked, playing the field when I was younger. I thought it was fun, and, I don't want to do my arm, but I was also pretty decent at, attack at midi. So I enjoyed just getting out there and playing the game of lacrosse. And then, I kind of realized I was a little bit better as a goalie than, I'm not a fast guy. I don't have too much stamina or endurance than running around, as a field player. So yeah, there's never, the right, a certain time to, transition to a full-time goalie. But the one thing I would say is make sure you do go out and play the other positions. Just have a feel for the game, and that will definitely translate and correlate over to the goalie position. So
yeah,
if it was freshman year for me, but it could be sixth grade for someone else. It could be, even maybe junior year of high school for someone else. Sometimes it comes naturally, and it could come later. It could come earlier, but
yeah,
there's a right time to transition over to goalie.
Yeah, that makes sense. I say there's probably no, like, you could do it up until your junior year of high school, let's say, but there is a time that's too early. Like, if you start right away and, like, say, all right, I'm the goalie, I'm going to play full-time goalie, and you're 8 or you're 9 years old, like, that's a little too early, but
I completely agree.
Awesome. So, growing up in New Jersey, like, how did you get your goalie instruction? Were there, like, some good goalie coaches, some guys that you kind of studied, some camps that you went to? How'd you go about, learning the intricacies of this amazing position?
Yeah. So I did, like I was saying, in sixth grade, I did just our town summer league. That was the team that I played for, just the town travel team. And the high school coach there was a goalie in college, and he helped me he was the one who kind of convinced me to, transition to goalie full time. I guess he kind of saw something in me, and I was a little reluctant just because I did like, scoring goals and feeding the ball to people, but he saw something, and he was always, he helped me along the way, and what I was doing right, what I was doing wrong. I never really did, goalie camps or anything. I didn't really train with anyone. It kind of was just, like I said, getting a feel for the position, and kind of just using my athleticism and figuring out how to use that correctly. Not, you don't want to be too active with a goalie, but being able to use your moves, efficiently, your steps, or your hand positioning, whatever that may be. So a lot of it was just getting a feel for the position itself, seeing shots getting scored on a bunch, saving the ball, and understanding that's, the reaction I may need to make to, save a ball stick side high versus, low and away. So a lot of it is just, a lot of reps, getting in there with my buddies and just taking shots. You're obviously going to get scored on a whole bunch, but that definitely, being able to learn from, I wouldn't call it a mistake, just, maybe not even a failure, but just, getting scored on, that obviously happens as goalies. Being able to learn and take, knowledge from that is what helped me a whole bunch, for sure.
Yeah, that's interesting. It's, being around the game and just, watching and playing, you, in addition to just learning so many things on like the offensive side and cradling and stick handle, like you see how goalies play. Exactly. Right. And so that's one way you can just kind of take things in. Like I've seen some, attackmen jump in the goal just on my team long time ago. And like they had a good stance and they had like good positioning, and they didn't know any of that. They never studied any of that, but they had seen other goal. All right, this is kind of how you set up, knees bent. And so that's one way that I don't think we've talked about on the show that you can learn quite a bit, is just study the game.
Exactly. I think that a lot of that was kind of how I learned. I obviously watched a ton of, college lacrosse growing up. And I think I still do, I watch other goalies' positionings. My stance is, kind of always evolving. It has never, had every season it's been a little different. And that's from, taking stuff from other, good college goalies or, MLL or PLL goalies, just watching how they, how their stance is, and, how efficient some of their moves. And so I'm always taking stuff from other goalies. And like you said, I have kids on my team who some are just kind of natural. When we're joking around with a tennis ball in the locker room, they hop in the mini nets, and I'm like, wow, you could have been a good goalie, So I think a lot of that is just watching other, other good goalies and kind of studying their film and being able to, take that free knowledge, you don't need to pay for that, and use it for yourself and be able to, again, efficiently, how you, are best able to use, take whatever they may be able to give you, but use that, all these different goalies, and, make it your own. And, that's your own style of play from there.
Yeah. Who are some of the goalies right now that you think you've learned the most from?
It's a good question. Jack Kelly, the Brown goalie from a few years ago, their Final Four run, I watched him a bunch, and he was one guy who I, was amazed with. He had a great year that year, and I definitely tried to, replicate a lot of his style. Obviously growing up, like John Galloway was a big one who I thought, obviously he's a fantastic goalie, still is. So watching him growing up, he plays a little differently than I do for sure now, but just being able to, watch good goalies and have that respect for their game definitely helps and gives you confidence in net. If you look up to someone like that, you just try to be, you don't try to be them, but you try to be, as good as be what they were able to do for their team, do it for your own team. In this case, Georgetown, obviously, but I'm my own goalie, but being able to use, whether it's Jack Kelly's, his steps or John Galloway's, hand movements, his feet, whatever that may be, being able to take stuff from all these goalies who came before you, all these great goalies, has helped me big time in my play.
Yeah, for sure. And those are two great guys. I had both those guys on the podcast. I mean, they're just like super solid guys. In addition to being like elite goalies, they're just awesome people. So great ones.
Could only imagine.
Yeah. We'll see if I'm like secretly rooting for Jack Kelly to make a starting run on the Redwoods. Although Tratner is just dominating, so it's going to be tough.
He's a very good goalie, but I'm the same way. I've always been like, how is Jack Kelly not? I know he's had some injuries the past few years, but I'm just like, how is he not on a starting? How is he not in net? Playing in
Yeah.
this. But there's obviously a bunch of good goalies in that league now, and it's definitely hard to crack a roster or even starting lineup. But
Oh yeah. I mean, we're talking like 8 starting goalies in the world, like that's absurd.
Crazy. Yeah, it's crazy.
That's crazy. So what style did you end up landing on? I mean, how would you, if someone was going to say like the Owen McElroy style right now, how would you describe it?
I would say it's low arc kind of, and more of a lateral stepping type of stance. I kind
And
of
pretty wide base from what I see, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So that's not always been the case. I used to be more of a stand up straight, kind of like a Drake Porter type of stance where he's kind of standing straight up. I used to do that, and I kind of started off that the beginning of this year too in practice, and it just wasn't really working for me. And I noticed that some other goalies in Division One game had more of a linebacker stance, if you will, kind of squatting down low, and they're able to explode the ball and just be very explosive. So I kind of noticed that, and I tried it out early of the year in practice, and it was working for me. So I transitioned over to that, more of a squatting, get low and be hands right here, just ready for the shot. Use your explosiveness to your advantage. Again, low arcing. I think so much of the goalie position is your position in net. If you have good positioning, you're already, that's half the battle. That you're taking away half the net that shooters are looking at. So it makes their job a lot harder if your positioning in cage is where it needs to be. You're playing mind games with them to begin with. So I think it's a big focus of being able to, whether they're turn around GLE, turn from X, coming down the alley, being able to find that position that's right for you and where you feel comfortable and using that to your advantage. That's again, half the battle is being, taking up half the net with your body. So if you could use your body to advantage and then, just be able to get real explosive and shoot your hands and your feet to the ball. That's what I did this year. It worked better than some chances in the past. So I'm definitely going to stick with that for now. Like I said, it's always evolving with me, and I'm sure other goalies would agree. So I might come into fall ball and that's just not working for me. So I might have to start doing something else. But that worked for me this past spring, so I'm going to stick with that. But being able to be explosive and using your body, I think, is super important.
Yeah. I liked what you said about positioning there. And, for the young goalies out there listening or just getting started, I mean, we're talking about essentially, splitting the goal from the shooter's perspective, like being right in the middle of the goal, no matter where the shooter is on the field.
Exactly.
And there's a lot of debate, like from non-goalies who say, oh, that was an easy save. Like it didn't even move. It just hit him in the chest or it just hit him in the head. But that's positioning, right? I mean, that's what we're doing. We're setting ourselves up to have success by splitting the goal and not giving them one blatantly large area of net to shoot for. So I think that's really important positioning.
I think a big one with that is the Loyola goalie, Sam Schaefer, his save against Denver. I saw a lot of slander about that save, how I just, hit him in the head, but
yeah,
he was in the right position. If he was, a foot to the left or a foot to the right, that would have gone in. But, his positioning, it's so much of the goalie game itself is just being, in the right spot of the cage.
exactly. Yeah. Or Alex Rhodes' final save in the championship.
Exactly.
I mean, yeah, the ball hits him right in the chest, but you know what? Like he's in a great position.
Exactly. I completely agree.
Yeah. The other thing I wanted to ask you about, so you said like, that style wasn't working for me. What does that mean? Does that just mean you're giving up a lot of goals, or like, how can a goalie know that it's a style's not working for them?
I think, it's one, obviously giving up some goals, some that, you think you should have back, or that you usually make that save. I think that's a big part of it. And also just being comfortable. I've had different stances where I just, even if I was making saves, it didn't feel like the most comfortable, movements for me, or, most comfortable, just, just how your body is feeling. The comfortability is such a big part. If you don't have to worry about being comfortable, then you could just be focused on the ball. But if you're worried about being comfortable in net while also trying to save the ball. You have two things in your mind and you're not completely focused in on making that save. So I think just being able to find your stance and not have to worry about, you see some goalies always looking down on their feet, making sure that they're in the right place in the cage and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
I think that takes away from being focused on the ball and just being ready to make that next save. That's all you're worried about, is seeing the ball into your, from their stick into yours. So being able to be comfortable and not have to worry about, am I in the right place in the cage? I think that it kind of helps your efficiency with your movements. And again, just finding how can I be the most comfortable is so important.
Yeah, goalies have asked me that before. Like, hey, can I put down like little marks on the field for my positioning? And if you're just starting out, like, okay, but like you said, in order to check your position, you have to take your eyes off the ball. And
Exactly.
when you take your eyes off the ball, like as a goalie, like a panic should be going through your whole body, because you need to have like such intense focus on that ball. So yeah, I mean, start out with it, but then ultimately the goal is to be on those exact spots without having to look. Interesting. Speaking of like focusing on the ball, just kind of like talking technique, when a shooter's kind of winding up for you, are you just laser focused on that ball coming out of his stick, or kind of like in the zone that that ball is going to be released from based on his body language, or how do you approach that?
I think it's different on kind of where they are in the field. Further shots, 12, 10, 12, 15 out. It's definitely just, I have to find the stick, that spot of where he's going to release, whether it's high, whether it's low, you got to follow the stick and just find the ball as fast as you can. Because obviously those things at the college level are coming in very hot. So you want to be able to find that ball as quickly as you can. There'll be some traffic in front of you maybe, so you might need to look around someone, but obviously you got to find that ball as quickly as you can, so you have the most time to react. And then I think when they get, closer in, like 5 yards out, a lot of it for me personally, it's such a mind game. I think, you kind of want to position your body or your stick where you think they might shoot. So now you have them double thinking and they're over their shot. Kind of look at their eyes and their stick. I kind of go back and forth. You could read so much about a shooter from looking at their eyes or their shoulders, where they're gonna shoot the ball. So I wouldn't say I'm a guesser, but I think I've been playing this position for so many years now, and I've seen so many shots from so many good players. You could kind of get a feel for tendencies of where they are in the field, whether that's a question mark. Usually they want to put it low and away from the right side of the field. So I like to kind of try to read their mind almost. Obviously, I'm focused on the ball. I'm not going early or guessing, but you really can find a lot about a shooter by reading their body language. And if you could obviously beat them to the spot before they could kind of get their shot off, they're going to be overthinking it, and that's where the easy saves come in. So I think it's important to be able to read the shooter when they get in close like that. I'm a big time jumper when they're kind of close to the crease, and that it's not the most effective, but if you jump out toward them and your whole body's coming at them, they have such little goal to shoot at. So being able to kind of play mind games with them, but also follow the ball, obviously, I think is so important.
Yeah, love it. I don't know if you follow the Goalie Smith guys, the Goalie Smith brothers. Yeah. So like read them and beat them is what they call that technique on those inside shots, and that's what I coach as well. And it's yeah. I mean, I think that's what you got to do. When they get in that close,
you don't have much else of a chance besides trying to read them and beat them. So
exactly, yeah. It's like a multiple choice test and you have no idea what the answer is. Like, all right, I might as well put one on it based on this information that I have, and you're going to get beat sometimes, but every once in a while you're going to guess that right answer.
I love that. That's a great.
Yeah. Cool. So you started playing, sort of dedicated yourself to goalie your freshman year of high school. How'd your high school career go? Did you see some success in the goal position right away?
I would say, my freshman year, I was on the freshman team and I split time with another good keeper who ended up playing Division I lacrosse as well. So we both had great years that year. I was more of a second half type of goalie. We both had a good year. My sophomore year, this was at Ridgewood High School. I went to Ridgewood High School, a public high school in our town for the first 2 years of high school, before I transferred to Avon Old Farms, which is a boarding school, all guys boarding school up in Connecticut. So I did Ridgewood High School for 2 years. I made varsity my sophomore year. Didn't play too much. Didn't play at all, actually. Played some JV that year as well, and then I transferred over to Avon. Did not play so I redid my sophomore year there. So I did not play my sophomore year there. We had actually a goalie who was going to Georgetown as well, who was a PG that year, came in, who's one of my good buddies now. He was the starter that year. And then my junior and senior year at Avon, I started there. And I would say I had pretty good years. Those years I was like the Western New England goalie of the year my senior year. We had
Nice.
great season, just team wise, both years. And obviously the Western New England, that league is very good. We have Deerfield, Brunswick, Taft. It's a bunch of great schools, and, guys go off to good college programs. So I think that helped in, preparing me for college, but you're not going to, see instant success. There were definitely some games where I got behind the ball and, it wasn't my day, but I think that definitely helps you, mentally prepare for the college level. You're going to have bad days, you're going to have bad practices, being able to understand that. And for me, that was kind of early in my career, and that definitely helped. But, I think in high school I had I would say pretty good go. If you
Nice.
will.
I got a couple questions about that. So, first of all, was the transfer of high schools, was that purely lacrosse related? And if so, like what went into that decision?
So I was kind of young for my grade, my original grade. I'm a September birthday, so I was a little young. So it was that. I was and that was when recruiting was so early. Kids were getting recruited freshman year, sophomore year. So when I was going into my junior year, I was young. My grades weren't too good, to be honest. There was just a bunch of different things. Obviously, lacrosse played a big role. Avon has a great team, and that's I would say just a step above the New Jersey lacrosse is great, but I would say that league's a step above. So just kind of all those things put together, I thought it was best for me. Recruiting wise, everything. I didn't have too much going on. And at that point, going into your junior year is pretty late back then. So I thought just repeating my sophomore year, going up there would only help me. And I'm so grateful I did. It did only help me. I definitely would not be wearing a Georgetown uniform if I weren't have done that. So all those things combined, and it was definitely a tough switch. Avon's an all guys school, 400 kids, so it was a lot different from a public high school here. But I met some of my best friends there, and I'm very glad that I did do that.
Awesome. The other thing I wanted to ask you about is you mentioned splitting time, and you were kind of the second half.
Yeah.
The second half goalie at one point. What advice do you have for young goalies in that situation, specifically coming in the second half?
Yeah. So, it's tough. It's definitely tough. You obviously want to play the whole game, but what I didn't read too much into it. We both, we kind of agreed on it. It wasn't like he was a starter, I was the backup type thing. It was kind of just like, I feel like I'm better in the second half. And, I like to, we had a few overtime games, so I was able to, stay in the game. I was just more, I saw myself more of a closer, and he saw himself more of a, I'm going to go in there, do my job, and get out of there. And, he did. We both did our jobs. But, I would say just don't read too much into it, especially at, a young age like that. You don't see too many two goalie teams. Obviously Denver from a few years ago with LaPlante and whoever the other one was, that worked for them. Mm-hmm. So it's never, if you have two good goalies, it's never, and you're in that position, it's never like, oh, I'm not good enough. It's more so like you have two good goalies on your team. Why not use them both? Give them experience. Because if you don't do that, you use one who, might be one save better than the other. The other kid's going to lose confidence, and then, there goes kind of your backup, if you will. So I would say if you're in a position like that, keep training super hard. Obviously, don't get down on yourself you're playing the second half, or, the other kid might have a good half and, they keep him in for the second half type of thing. Just, it's always something that we're taught at Georgetown is, 1-0 mentality. It's the next play, it's the next save, it's the next clear, next game. It's always just try to go 1-0 in whatever you're doing. So being able to, have that mentality with, if you get benched, 1-0 next game, 1-0, next practice, next shot. Always look forward and never too much behind you, because, that's in the past and there's not much you could do or change about that. So I would say always look ahead, always have that 1-0 mentality. It's going to happen, you're going to get benched, or, you might not start, but if you make sure to have that 1-0 mentality, get on the wall, get in the goal after practice, take those extra reps, you will see success in the future. So, don't give up on that, and keep grinding.
Yeah. Love it. Yeah. That mentality is so important. It's such a cliche almost on the show, like just kind of the next shot mentality. When you say 1-0, you mean like the score is tied, it's 0-0. I'm going to win the next one, or is there? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly that. Just go 1-0, it's 0-0,
Right.
even if you're up 10-0, think of it 0-0, just go 1-0, that next ground ball, next, whatever it may be.
Yep.
Win that next play.
Yep. And I've heard that, like I said, I've heard that presented in so many different ways, like goldfish memory, playing 1 minute games, 1-0, 1-0 mentality. But the idea is all the same. And it answers a lot of problems that a lot of goalies kind of have. It's like, hey, what do I do if I have a bad quarter? 1-0 mentality, right? What if I do if I have a bad game? 1-0 mentality. Like, you're going to get, it's 0-0, you're going to get the next one. So it is the mentality that answers a lot of goalie doubts.
Yeah. A lot of it's mental, and being able to understand that, realize that, is definitely, it'll go a far way.
Yeah, for sure. Well, cool. So how did your recruiting process go? And when did Georgetown enter the mix? What were some other schools that you were looking at, and how did it go for you?
Sure. Yeah. So my dad actually played lacrosse at Georgetown.
Nice.
So that was always, Georgetown was always a school ever since I was, 2 years old. I have pictures of me and, my dad's Georgetown lacrosse jersey holding a stick, and I could barely even stand. So Georgetown was always the school I wanted to go to. It was my dream school. And like I mentioned, I had gone to their camps, I'd reached out to them, but they didn't, they weren't too interested in me. There's some other schools who were, as my original 2016 high school class before I reclassed to 2017. There were a few schools. Providence was one that I was looking into. Colgate was a school I was looking into. My first ever visit was actually to UNC. That was early my first sophomore year. So I was like 14 or something at that point. I played well in a tournament down at North Carolina, and they had me on for a visit. Never gave me an offer, but that was also a school that I definitely wanted to go to. And then so I was in talks with Coach Warren at Georgetown before I repeated, and I was talking to him. I was like, if I repeat, is there a spot for me? And he was like, I'm not gonna say that. To be honest, like, I'm not gonna, give that commitment to you. We still want to watch you play more, etc. And so, like I said, it was always my dream school. So, I just kind of went for it. I reclassed. Again, I didn't have too much going on for me as a 2016. And then like a week after I reclassed, Georgetown picked up a goalie in the class of 2016, my original class, Jack Stevenson. He's one of my great friends now. He's a great goalie throughout high school and college. It's a stud. But so I was like, kind of like, all right, like I guess I did kind of make the right move. They were looking at this guy the whole time. So, it's good. I'm in 2017 now. Obviously they're going to have to take a 2017 goalie, which they don't have. So, I still kind of have a chance. And I did the fall recruiting, fall tournaments and stuff like that. And, I guess they kind of saw enough, and they had me down. And, that day in Coach Warren's office, he offered me, and, I was ecstatic. I was so, yeah, exactly, fired up. And, I wanted to commit right then and there. And he was like, I'm not going to let you do that. I want to let you sleep on this before. And I was like, all right, I'll sleep on it. Woke up the next day, immediately called him, and it was like, this is where I want to be. And I knew, right, if if I'd ever gotten, that offer from Georgetown, I was going to take it just because it was always, the dream school of mine. So yeah, there were some other schools who were, wanted to have me down as a visit, but, right when they offered me, I was like, I'm done. I'm not looking at any other schools. I don't need to take any other visits. This is where I want to be. So I'm super grateful that they gave me the opportunity. And, I couldn't be happier with, my past 4 years, and, looking forward to doing a fifth year and, getting a master's degree. So
nice. Well, congrats. That's awesome. Awesome story. I mean, it's always awesome when it works out like that. Your dad must have been there during the Patrick Ewing days, huh? Something like that.
He was there. Yeah, he graduated 86, so that sounds about right. Yeah.
That's awesome. What was it for you about Georgia? I mean, obviously it's kind of like a legacy type of situation, but was there more about the school and about the lacrosse program that you really enjoyed?
Yeah, I mean, of course, I've always watched Georgetown. I went to games growing up, so I always kind of had a connection to the players. When I was 6 years old, I would go to those games. So I always looked up to those guys. And obviously they had a rough patch for a few years. And, most people, not most people, I wouldn't say that, but, I was still thick and thin right through it, a Georgetown fan. And kind of just being able to, I always wanted to bring Georgetown kind of back on the map, if you will, after that. They were obviously a very dominant team, and they kind of went downhill. Mm-hmm. So being, offered by Georgetown when they were in a pretty dark spot, I wanted to bring them back to, kind of where we are now. Obviously we're not done and we're not satisfied with a quarterfinal appearance. We want to, get to the next step next year and onward. But I thought, being able to build the program back up would be so cool, especially it being, my dream school. And obviously like it could have worked out much differently, and we could have, stayed 2-10, 2-12, whatever those records were. So obviously it's, hindsight's 2020, being able to look back and say I kind of did do that. We as a team did do that. But I love, DC is a great place. The campus is beautiful. There's just so much about it that I couldn't pass up on, and being able to build a program back up to, a top 10, top 5 team is something that, I'll always cherish. And I'm pretty proud of, all the teammates that I've had who have, had such a big part of doing that.
Yeah. Yeah. The thing I'm hearing there is like, you've got a bigger why, which is so important for athletes on the mental game. Like when I work with goalies on the mental game, like the first thing I do is like, well, what's your why? Like, why are we out here training? And if it's just like, well, I want to get better. It's like, well, why? Like, cause this position, it's really tough. And what we go through as goalies is really tough. And at the end of the day, you got to have something like so strong, like, hey, I want to build this program back. I want to get us back to the throne where I know we can be. That's a really strong driving force. And I'm sure you relied on that quite a bit during some of the tough days.
100%. Yeah. I think also just the alumni base at Georgetown, I'm sure it's like that at other schools as well. But, I'm getting texts from guys who graduated in 2002, the alumni base is so strong. And I think that's also such an amazing part about building this program back up, because those guys are fired up to see it. They're so involved. They're watching. Yeah. I met a father the other day at the lacrosse camp I was coaching who graduated in 2000, and he was ecstatic. He's like, I'm so fired up to see you guys, back in the win column again. And I think that's so cool. Obviously the guys who were seniors my freshman year, they're texting us and all that, and everyone's just so fired up. And I think that helps motivate us as well. Just being able to, the win's it's not just for the 40 guys on the team, it's for the 400 alumni or whatever that may be.
Yeah, I love it. You get texts from Morocco?
All the time. Yeah. He's a stud. He helped me a big amount my freshman year. And, I reach out to that guy all the time for tips, or if I'm in a dark place. I texted him at the beginning of the year when my stance wasn't all right, and I was like, man, I don't know what's going on. I can't save a beach ball. And he's very helpful in the mental game for me. Obviously he's a stud at all levels in college and now in PLL. And, that's one guy who I trust and rely on, and he's always there for me. So that dude, shout out to Nick Morocco, but he's a great guy. He's helped me in my development a whole bunch.
Yeah, I had him on the podcast way back at episode 23. We're now in this is going to be like 100 and something. So yeah, he's awesome, dude. Awesome, dude. Yeah, and he's just, I mean, he's lighting it up in the PLL right now, which is just great to see. Love to see it.
Awesome. Yeah.
Awesome. So you get to, you get to Georgetown, and obviously the speed of the game a lot faster. But what were there any other like noticeable differences for you? Or are you getting kind of like some different coaching? Did they change around your game? Like how did your first year go?
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely tough. Like you said, the speed of the game, the ball movement is so much faster. Even, coming from a pretty good high school lacrosse area, the difference is, I mean, it's night and day.
Yeah.
Yeah, I struggled a lot my freshman year. Just the speed of obviously the ball movement, but the shots itself. I was late on a bunch of shots. I was the third strings behind Nick Morocco and Jack Stevenson, who I was talking about earlier. So obviously I barely saw any time, but just adjust. It takes a while to adjust to it. You see freshman goalies come in who are great. The UNC goalie this year had a great year. So there are guys who can come in and adjust immediately. I was not one of those guys. I was obviously very thankful to be sitting behind, first team All-American that year, Nick Morocco. So he helped me massively, and just, mentally again, and just, how to play the game of college goalie, which is so different from high school goalie. You have to be so much more efficient in your movements because of the speed of the shot. So, the fall ball was tough. The spring wasn't as tough just because, I had a few months under my belt at that point. But I think, again, a lot of that is mental, being able to understand that this game is completely different from what you were succeeding in, in high school. So you got to be able to adjust, understand where you could improve, and where you need to leave some habits that you had in the high school game behind. Which for me, I kind of kept my stick kind of low and to the side, kind of like to fling out and stuff in high school, but that just doesn't work in the college game. You got to have your stick high, and just the efficiency in your movements it's very noticeable, and what that has to be.
Right. Yeah. A lot of times, elite high school goalies can get away with like a hitch. They kind of come down,
Right.
and then they come back up and they still make the save, but you're quick enough and you're athletic enough, and that works. But at the next level, like, does not work.
That's exactly what was getting me. Getting away with that in high school, but when you have Dan Buccaro and Craig Bird shooting on you, as they're blowing it by you. So
Right.
It took me a little bit, but I was able to finally adjust to that.
Yeah. Awesome. So then did you end up earning the starting role the next year, or was it the year after that?
My sophomore year, Jack Stevenson was on the roster. We had a freshman. So we were all three of us were battling throughout the fall, and Coach Moore didn't name one of us until after our Maryland scrimmage. So like a week or two before the actual season started.
Wow.
I was named the starter, which obviously I was fired up about. I wasn't sure if I ever was gonna be a starter in college. So that I was fired up, and I had an all right season. It wasn't anything spectacular. I think I was at like 52% or something. I ended up getting yanked the first game of the Big East tournament, and then I didn't play the championship game or the first round of the NCAA. So I started, 16 of the 18 games we had, or something like that. But that was obviously pretty tough for me. Just kind of watching from the sideline after, playing the whole year. Obviously, 52%, it's not anything special, but it wasn't 48. So I was like a little upset about it, but it all ended up working out. That definitely gave me some motivation the next year. It certainly fired me up a little bit. And in the long run, I think that only helped my development. So I definitely at the time it was tough, but looking back on it, I'm kind of thankful that did happen.
Yeah. What goes through your mind when you get pulled?
It's tough. Thankfully this year or last year, the shortened season last year, I wasn't pulled. So the last time I was that Providence game of the Big East tournament. It's tough. You kind of see it, you feel it coming, obviously, because that I think I had 2 saves, 9 against. So you kind of know it's coming. You could see, the backup getting warmed up on the sideline. It's tough. But that's where the mental, strength comes in, you got to just be able to, accept it and be like, all right, today's not my day. Hopefully whoever's going in is going to have a better day. Because obviously at the end of the day, a win is a win. That's the only thing that matters is a W versus an L. So I think being able to, when you're on the sideline, be able to get fired up for whoever just went in, be fired up when you're scoring goals is so important. Which I think I did a great job of. I'm sure my teammates would agree with that. If you're all one team, whoever's playing, those guys were getting fired up for me the whole year. So, it was obviously the right thing. And, what I wanted to do was to get fired up when they made a big save. Don't get that feeling of, it'll hit you. You'll be like, I wish that was me in there right now. The whole sideline's fired up for that guy. But if you could kind of put that past you and just understand that, Georgetown's Georgetown. It's not one goalie versus the other. You're on the same team. Yeah. And all that matters is a win. I think that's so important because you're going to have a bad day. You're going to get pulled. Almost every goalie I'm sure has. So being able to recognize, obviously you don't want that to happen, but it's going to happen, and just, be able to have that mental toughness to, stay in the game, stay a part of the team, be a part of the sidelines. It's only going to help the other goalie, the team in general, and the culture as well.
Yeah. Great answer. Yeah. I got pulled. I mean, everyone's, if you play this game long enough, you're going to have a day where you're just not seeing the ball, and it's a bad feeling, but if you can, if you can do what you just said and kind of like root on the team. And then also it got me thinking about this other mental mindset thing, which is, just learning to embrace the challenges, right? Like when you get pulled, like that's a challenge, right? Yeah, and you got two ways you can react to. You can be like, I feel bad for yourself and be like, yeah, that should be me in there. I shouldn't have gotten pulled. Or you can be like, you know what? Like this is an opportunity for me to level up my game, right? Get back on top. And oftentimes, like I'm sure it was for you, like, look, now you're goalie of the year, right? So look where you can end up after you got benched.
Right. Like what I said, I'm grateful for that now. I think it's helped me grow and develop so much. And I think that's important for, all the young guys listening to this. If you get pulled, take that as an opportunity to, for growth, and use that to fire you up and, get you right back in the next game and, have 20 plus saves, whatever that may be, but use that as motivation and as growth.
Yeah. Love it. Awesome. Changing gears a little bit. How do you train? Like what are some of the drills you like to do? Either you when you're working with Georgetown, or like kind of when you're training kids.
Yeah. So like I mentioned earlier, I like to mess around with the shorty a lot. And I'm not sure that helps my goalie game itself too much, but, I'll go out the other day. I was just by myself and went out and, shot with the shorty on an open net down public field in Ridgewood. I love the sport so much, and being able to, go out and have fun with it is so important. And then, I don't do too many drills. I think the best for me personally, it's different for everyone, obviously, but, just getting live shots. That's not like, going out and shooting with your friends, then, stepping in with no one on time and room from 12, 15 out. That helps for sure. Seeing shots helps. But for me, that just, I don't know. I get so much better when I'm, practicing with the team. If you got, one-on-ones, maybe just, real live action helps me so much. So, when I come in the fall, I'm so much worse than, a month in, 2 months in, 3 months in, whatever it is,
getting better and better. Yeah.
Go out there and, give it your all in practice 100%. Like it's a real game. Helps my play so much. Last year, junior year, with the shortened season, we had a scrimmage against Rutgers in the fall, and I couldn't save a beach ball. And then, 2 months later, I was like playing, the top of my game. So I think for me is just repetition after repetition of live drills, focusing and again, going 1-0 in every drill. Don't take a rep off. It's so important. And then some drills, I was doing a private lesson the other day. I like to do what we do at Georgetown. So my coach Shriver, the goalie coach, our warm up is pretty simple. We start anywhere high, and he just goes around the arc anywhere high, and then he comes back around the arc anywhere in the hips, and then obviously low bouncers, and then he goes around the arc twice of just shooting anywhere. And I like that because it gets, again, your positioning, you get a feel for the cage a lot. You know where the ball is going a little bit. It could go either way. It's not just stick side high. So it's one of the two, but it kind of gets you, where you're going. So you're kind of getting a feel for your, the motions you need to have. It gets you really warmed up. We've done a bunch of drills. I like hand tossing a lot. Myself and the other two goalies before every game, we, play a thing of hot potato, where we just kind of use our top hand and toss it to each other, and, offside stick positions. You just got to grab it. And if you drop it, you drop it. That's a good one.
Yeah.
I like using the wall too, kind of someone throwing a ball, stand behind you, throwing a ball against the wall. So you don't really know where the ball's going, and using a shorty with that and reacting to the ball. We do that a whole bunch at Georgetown as well. So there's a bunch of stuff that you could do. I was reading up on your, before I coached the other day, actually, I had never done a private lesson. So I was reading up on your, 16 drills to do as a goalie, or all those drills. So I use some of your drills too, for sure. There's just so many different drills that are effective. And, whether you're a sixth grader, just playing goalie, or if you're, a senior in college, it'll work for everyone. So again, just being able to incorporate, a whole bunch of hand speed, feet work, footwork, feet drills is so important, and just being able to evolve yourself into, the goalie that you want to be.
Love it. Great stuff. I love on the warm up, that I'm going to do it, start out high, anywhere high. I think, a lot of goalies start with, all right, do, 10 stick side high, and then 10 off stick high. Which, you get kind of warmed up going in that motion, which is good, but then you're not warming up like your ability to react and read.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. So I like that. And you're not doing it, you're not starting with anywhere. So I'm not like,
Yes,
I'm not jumping right in. You've limited the options, but you still have to read and react.
It's kind of in the middle somewhere. I agree. I think that it gets both, reacting, but also, you kind of know where it's going. So getting the motion down. I agree.
Yeah. Awesome. I want to try something if it's cool with you. I got a video here of the Denver game, Georgetown Denver game. I thought I could bring it up, and I'll show you kind of some saves, and we could talk about some ideas or what you're seeing.
Yeah. I'd love to do that.
Yeah. Let's see. All right. So the first one is at 50 seconds. All right. Can you hear that, by the way? Do you hear the audio?
No.
Okay, no worries. Hang on. Actually, that is a lot of worries. Let me let me stop sharing. I think I have to share the audio. Yeah, share sound.
Okay.
And he incorporates all of them very effectively for this high-scoring Denver offense. Here's Jack Hanna.
Right there is the first one. So for those that are just purely audio, I think you could hear it, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So Denver middies kind of up top, working one-on-one, sweeps kind of across the top. They're going to like set a pick, and there's really no like at that point, like what is your guys' defense? I mean, there's nobody in the middle, right? So you can't slide from the crease, and it kind of looks like you're sliding adjacent.
Yeah. If you could rewind that, I'm trying to see what they're in. We do a whole bunch of stuff on defense that our guys are so good at. So it depends. Yeah. So whoever is out of the picture, who is that? Number 2. Whoever's in the middle right now, who's kind of the pick guy, he should be the one who's kind of sloughing off. And, I think he gets caught going with the pick. But I mean, that's a pretty deep shot. It's about 13.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Like, that's good defense. Like, as a goalie, I mean, you gotta say, like, I'll take that shot. I mean, especially because he's on the run, right? I mean, I don't know if he's a left-handed player, but it's a left-handed shot. He's on the run from 13 yards. Like, as a goalie, you gotta be good with that shot, and you see it all the way. Make the save.
100%. Yeah, our coach, that's what he says. I'm gonna see, our goalies are gonna see shots, give them the best shots they could see. So, that's a perfect example of our defense being so good at that, allowing me to see the shots I want to see. So yeah, that was a 13-yard on the run shot. You know, at that point in the game, I don't think I had a save if I remember correctly. So I was.
It is 3-0. Yeah.
Yeah, a little bit mental. But that again is where you have to calm yourself down and go 1-0. So I kind of just stayed, you know, true to my positioning there and relied on my reaction time. It was kind of a high bouncer. So I came back and up, and I was fortunate enough to be able to make that save. And then obviously, as you see, my eyes are kind of up. I probably should have hit that guy right there, which I don't. But I think is also important. Being able to get the ball out quick and so that you don't have to worry about you know, clearing the ball, which Denver did pretty. Their ride the first game kind of gave us some trouble. So
one point I wanted to call out, just like a small little detail there, is I love the way, you know, you make the save kind of at the top of the crease, but you still have a foot in the crease.
yeah,
Very, very important, because at that point, like, they can't touch you.
right.
Right. And you have 4 seconds, you know, as in the male game to outlet the ball or leave the crease. But, you know, at least then, you know, you're free. So always, you know, when you're fighting, even when you're fighting for a ground ball at the edge of the crease, like, keep a foot in the crease.
100%. Yeah. It gives you options. Like you said, you could, you know, you could go right back in the crease because you still have a foot in, or you could, you know, take a step out and clear it, whatever it may be. So I think that is a good thing to note. And it's, you know, it's something at this point for me that's just muscle memory. But young goalies, you know, make sure to keep a foot in, because, you know, if you go in and out, the ball's going right back to, or out and in, I should say, the ball's going right back to the offense. So
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, if you lift, as soon as you lift up that back foot, you're out of the crease. So you got to go, you can't like lift it up and put it back down. You got to leave the crease at that point.
Exactly.
So, all right, cool. And then you can kind of see like your stick handling abilities, which, you know, as you mentioned, kind of growing up, love of the game, always have a shorty in your hand, still to this day, you know. So, and I think that really shows. There's a clip we'll show later where it really shows, but here, just, you know, you're comfortable kind of throwing around a guy, doing a couple cradles. And that's super important in the clearing game.
I agree. I think it just gives, you know, our defense, the clearing game, an extra. You know, obviously, we have one more man, and if you could use your stick efficiently, I think that helps the clearing game in general. So
yeah, this one now it's still 3-0 Denver. You know, it's kind of a repeat of the last shot. You know, it's like this one might even be a little bit further out. By the time he releases it, it's like lefty on the run. That might even be like 14 yards. But what I love so much about this one, when you look at your stance, I mean, just look how set. I mean, that is a great stance, right? Like, a lot of times for young goalies, when the shot is released, which is where I paused it, like, it's pretty much, you know, imminent right now, they'll have like a foot in the air, or they'll be like still moving, right? And the shot's coming. Like, you can't be moving when the shot's coming. You got to be set and ready to react to it. So
100%.
Anything else on this save that you remember?
This one, I honestly, I remember I almost went off stick hip. I was reading his shoulders too much. So my stick comes this way at first, and I'm able to shoot my hands right back and kind of stay true to that. But that one, I was kind of mad at myself about. I was lucky to make that. I wouldn't say lucky, but see if you could see it.
Yeah, look at that. So yeah, like the hands kind of start to come in and then they come back out. Yeah.
But which I think again is a testament to the defense in front of me, giving me shots that I'm able to, you know, read and react to. And that gave me an extra split second to react to that and make the save, and then, you know, get it out, like I was saying earlier.
Yeah. And that's what I love about this play right here is, you know, you make the save, and really, as, you know, as a general rule for outletting as for goalies, like, usually where the shot just came from, that midi is open, right? So that's kind of our first look, all things being equal. And it's right there. It's right there. Boom. Hit that guy with the you know, sort of a direct pass, put some mustard on it, because you can't really lob it in that scenario. And boom, he's off to the races.
This dude has some wheels, and he could shoot.
Boom, goal. Yeah. And then that gets me so pumped up as a goalie, you know, even just watching plays like that. Like, I don't know how you are as like a goalie on the field, but me, I'm just like yelling, like, great defense, guys. I'll take that shot all day. You kidding me? Like,
that one fired me up, you know, especially Zach Geddes come down and score. Like, it definitely gets you going when you're seeing good shots and, you know, it's converting on the other end.
Yeah, for sure. All right. The next one is at 3 minutes. So now they got a Denver guy sort of, he's right at about GLE, maybe a step above, gets the ball checked out of his stick, and it kind of rolls into the crease, and you go to clamp it, air ball. And this guy picks it up, and oh, look at this effort. I mean, 3 Hoyas dive for the goal. Who ends up getting it? I can't even tell. Did you make the save?
I'm not sure. I might have gotten a piece of it. I honestly, I was all I remember is just being so happy that didn't go in because of that little air ball right there.
Yeah. Anyway, that was a great play. 3-10. Yeah. So you mentioned earlier about Denver do a 10-man ride, or they were really aggressive with the ride. And you know what's a great counter to that is a goalie who can handle, right?
Yes,
And you got the hand. You said you weren't fast, but I think you were being humble because you run it all the way down and just spot a wide open guy on the crease, and bam, that was a great play.
that was a lot of fun. Yeah, I was definitely pretty gassed after that one. I'm good for one shift a game, I'll say. But yeah, I mean, Denver, they the first time around in the first game up at Denver, they kind of gave us some troubles in the 10-man, and a lot of that was just no one moving. So here I kind of just realized, if I pass it back to 17 Gibby Smith, not much is going to happen. So I kind of just have to take off and make some offense for myself.
Yep. I mean, at what point have you decided to I'm gonna cross? Is it right here when you got so much?
Yeah, it's pretty early, honestly. After the face dodge against the attackman, I kind of was locked in because I think we were 66 seconds on the shot clock there. So I have 5 seconds to get it over. So at that point, I'm kind of like, if I pass it, we're not going to have much time. So I kind of right when I got that ball in face dodge, I kind of knew I was taking off, and
Yeah.
I didn't know I was going to be running up. I thought someone was going to come to me earlier. And then, once they slid upfield to me, like the announcers kind of say, like, that's offense right there, pass the ball to the man where the slide comes from. So obviously I was lucky enough that Dylan Watson was wide open on the crease, and, he's a Canadian. He'll can that ball 9 out of 10 times. So I was pretty fired up about that. Obviously I celebrate points at the sideline here a little bit, because all those guys, we have an unbelievable sideline. They get juiced up. So seeing them go up, I was pumped up.
There it is. Little fist pump, little point.
Yeah, little point. I'm getting goosebumps right now. Those guys are awesome. So that was a fun
awesome
play. Definitely one of the highlights of this year for sure.
Yeah, it's a great play. Let's see. Next one is at 3:50. So what I love about this play right here is the guy's got the ball at, he's probably like a step above GLE, and you're on the pipe in great position, right? And then he passes it to his teammate, and look at that. Like, if you watch if you're watching the video, like, watch this adjustment. It's just such a slight step, right? But boom, now you're square on this guy. And that's when we talk about positioning, like, sometimes it's these little quick subtle movements, but like, now you're in great position on this shooter.
Absolutely. What I like to do is try to get the shooter, when you can see it perfectly here, in the middle of my stance, kind of square him up, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of when you're covering the cage, the most efficiently how you should be. So I like to try to get my, the shooter in between my 2 feet, and just a little adjustment like that kind of help me out there.
Yeah. And you can see that's one of the benefits of the shallow arc, because, it's just way less movement. It's like a little step, a little adjustment with your other hip, and now I'm square to this guy.
Yes, sir,
as well. It looks like in your stance, like some goalies, do the eye thumb ball thing, kind of hold it up a little bit higher. Some are at chin. It looks like you're like a little bit lower in the stance, like maybe just kind of below the chin. Is that?
Yeah, I mean, that's how I felt most comfortable this year. I've had it higher, I've had it lower before, and that's just kind of where I found, the comfortable spot for me. So
Love it. Cool. Yeah. And then this guy rips it, and that's a pretty wide open. I don't know how far away, like 12, 11 yards. Yeah. And then bam, save. Awesome. He'll probably want to not shoot stick side high, but hey, we'll take it. We'll take it. All right, cool. 4:58. This one I love. So it's kind of an unsettled play. I'm not exactly sure what happens right here. Like, does a shot hit the crossbar? No, it gets.
Uh,
Oh, it
yeah,
hits. It hits
left.
the D guy.
Yeah.
Anyway, ball's loose. It's going to the sideline. You go out to chase it, and then you say, you know what, I'm not going to do that, and kind of get back in. But it's still sort of an unsettled situation. And really, then you're sort of reading this shooter, right? Like at this point, how is he going to be able to shoot that? Like he's kind of getting, I don't know if he's getting pushed from behind, but it kind of looks that way. But anyway, and he's falling back. Like where can he possibly shoot? And you can see in your stance, like you're super low, like
Yeah.
almost anticipating that low shot. Is that kind of what you were seeing?
Yeah, 100%. Like you said, there's not. I mean, if he could put that high, hats off to him. But there's not much for him to do in this position. So I kind of again try to square myself up and get in the middle of the cage. Like you said, it was unsettled, so I had to find that positioning quickly, and then just try to read and react. And here this one kind of didn't have too much mustard on the ball, so I was able to save that and get it out. But it just being able to find that ball. I think I'm so low because I'm trying to find my head. I guess is trying to find his stick. So I'm kind of squatting with him as he's going down. If you will.
Yeah, but to your point, like that shot's coming in low. Like if that guy can hit a falling over, back facing the goal, low to high rip, like hats off. You deserve that goal. Yeah.
and that's one of the times. But here, like you said, 95% of the time he's going to shoot that low or bounce the ball. So I was kind of anticipating that.
Oh, here's a different angle. Yeah, he's kind of falling away, bounces it, and also, boom, you get your body behind it, which is so important for young goalies as well. We're not just stabbing at it with our stick. We're gonna make the save with our stick, but in the event that you don't, like, look, that would hit you square in the chest.
Yes, sir. That's important. You can never be too confident. You got a big frame, 6 foot something. You make sure you use that. So.
Yep, and then bam, outlet pass. Love it. Cool. 6:51. Cool. And this is kind of an interesting play because the Denver guy takes it down the wing, right? What do you, as a goalie, like when this guy's driving down the wing, he doesn't have much angle at all. Like what's going through your head on a play like this?
Again, that's so right there is so much positioning. And, toward the end of the year, I actually got burned quite a bit down the alley going high. Stick side high. I got burned, the Villanova game, they had a few. Denver game, this the third one, they had a few. So for me, I started thinking, just stay high. I'm always kind of assume they're going to go low. And I don't know if that's something that they read about me, doing their film studies, but here it's just, make sure that you're in good position and use your body and stay high and just, trust your reaction time. Yeah, exactly. Just stay high, trust your reaction time. And, hopefully you're going to be in a good spot in there. Luckily I was, so.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, he ends up shooting this shot from like 5 yards out, maybe a little more because he's at an angle, but he's at the 5 yard line. So it's so close. It's I don't know if it's a tough save because he has no angle, but as a goalie, you have very little time to react. So that's one of those read 'em and beat 'em type of scenarios.
Exactly. Make sure you have good positioning, take up as much case you can, and then read 'em and beat 'em.
Stay big. Yeah. Stay big and then make an athletic move to the ball. And you do. It goes high and you get that save. Awesome. 7:07 is the final one. So this is another positioning display of excellence. Let's call it that. So you're right here, set up on, kind of the 45, right? Top right 45. And then they throw it down to almost goal line extended and watch just one little adjustment step and bam. I mean, that's beautiful positioning, right? Like you couldn't be any more square to the shooter. So love it.
I appreciate that. I mean, again, it's just so many repetitions and, having a feel for, where you are in the cage and, trusting that you're going to be in the right spot. So.
Yeah, that's a great save too, because that's going in off stick high and bam, just quickness.
I definitely, that was one of them that I definitely remember.
Yeah.
pretty good about that one after.
Oh, for sure. I mean, those are the type of saves that, like, you know, as a goalie, like I just stole one. I mean, he's taken a 5-yard, 6-yard wide open shot that he's sort of stepping into almost, because he catches it.
Yeah.
I guess he's going a little bit away from the goal, but still, like, I mean, that's a great save.
Thank you.
And then you guys end up winning an OT, which is awesome. So congratulations on that.
Thank you. That was an awesome game. We were certainly fired up after that OT game winning for sure.
Yeah, awesome. That was the first time I'd done that. That was pretty fun. So thank you for taking us through those plays. And yeah,
that was awesome. I mean, I definitely watched that video when it came out. I was fired up to see my name on YouTube and you know, goalie comparison. So I've seen that video, but again, I appreciate you bringing that in and you know, doing some study.
Love it. Well, cool. Wish you nothing but the best of luck going into your, I guess, your final year. Hopefully Georgetown can make a deep run. What are you doing this summer training wise? Are you just kind of working with goalies, or are you going to be out doing some training yourself?
Yeah, I'm doing definitely a little bit of both. Doing some private lessons, training other goalies. I might head out to Rhode Island. A buddy of mine, Coleman Rowe, his dad, he's a big, you know, he did 3D for a while, and he has a bunch of clients. So I might go and do some work with him, you know, hop in cage myself, take some shots, and, you know, learn. You know, it's a game where in a position in a game, you always got to be learning and evolving. So
yeah,
definitely gonna, you know, put the work in this summer, try to study my game, and, you know, hopefully come back and, you know, have another great year for myself and the team.
Love it. Well, I wish you the best. If people want to get a hold of you, like, let's say they want to do some lessons, where, how should they do that?
My Instagram, just, you know, in the direct messages is the best way. I've gotten a few, but that, you know, Owen_Mac, MAC, my Instagram. So if, you know, if anyone wants to get any private lessons, or, you know, if they need some help with anything, you know, feel free to reach out. I'm more than happy to answer some questions, or, you know, get some lessons in with you. And, you know, I'm here to help. I was obviously in that position not too long ago, looking up to some guys. So, you know, hopefully I'm a guy that some kids look up to, and I'm more than happy to help out. So
I love that. That's awesome. That's what's so cool about the lacrosse community. Well, the lacrosse goalie community, even more. I mean, it's such a small community, really, and most guys, even like all the way up to the pro level, are really willing to help out. A couple kids emailed me just, you know, basic questions today, and I love it. I love it.
Yeah, I think it's awesome being able to, you know, when kids reach out to me, it makes me feel and you know, I'm more than happy to help again, and it definitely puts a smile on my face, and it makes my day when I could, you know, help out anyone in the smallest way. So
awesome. Love it. Did they give you like what do you get when you get the C. Markland? Do you get like a plaque or something, or is it a trophy? Or
my parents are wondering the same thing. I have yet to get anything, and my mom and dad are waiting on that. I got the Big East one downstairs that I gave my mother for Mother's Day. So nice. I'll hand that to my dad for Father's Day if I ever get one. But we'll see. I would love a plaque myself, but who knows? Hopefully I'll get one in the mail or something.
Love it. Owen, thank you so much. If you had to leave the kids out there with one last piece of advice, what would that be?
You know, just embrace yourself in the game. Watch as much lacrosse as you can. You know, study your favorite players. Reach out to your favorite players. Just, you know, play as much, watch as much lacrosse as you can, because this really is a great sport. And like you said, the community is so, you know, they're so tight, and it's such a small knit community that, you know, everyone's happy to help, eager to help, and, you know, we learn from each other. So, you know, get out on the wall, play the lacrosse, watch the lacrosse, reach out to anyone you may look up to or want to play like, and I'm sure they'll be happy to help. So, you know, keep the stick in your hand, whether it's a goalie stick or an attack stick, and, you know, just have fun with it at the end of the day.
Love it. Owen, thank you so much.
Damon, thank you so much for having me on. It was great to chat with you for a bit.